My name is Maruk Sarfaraz and I am from the Department of BS Biotechnology. As this is the second part of my presentation and the topic of my presentation is codeine. As we have described earlier that what is codeine, the uses of codeine and pharmacokinetics of codeine, and now extending forward. Mechanism of action. How codeine works in the body. Codeine is a narcotic analgesic and also an antitussive agent. It binds to opiate receptors and blocks ascending pain pathways. Reduces patients' perception of pain without altering the cause of the pain. It also causes respiratory depression, peripheral vasodilation, inhibition of intestinal peristalsis, stimulation of the chemoreceptors that cause vomiting, increased bladder tone, and suppression of cough reflex. Now, coming to the dosage of codeine, that how the ages vary and how the quantity of dosage vary. The usual dosage of codeine is as analgesic for children over 12 years and adult is 30 to 60 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours and the maximum dose is 2 milligrams per day. As an antitussive of the usual dose for adult, it is 10 to 20 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours. And for children from 6 to 12 years, this is 5 to 10 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours. And for children from 2 to 6 year, it is about 2.5 to 5 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours. Now coming to contraindications. Do not administer to patient with acute respiratory depression or asthma attack. Do not combine with other agonist opioids such as morphine that may increase risk of respiratory depression. Management of respiratory depression include assisted ventilation and or administration of Daldson. How it works in the body. Codeine works directly on opioid receptors and the central nervous system and reduces feelings of pain by interrupting the way nerves signal pain between the brain and the body. Now coming to the side effects of codeine. All opioids including codeine can have side effects including life-threatening breathing problems. The risk of these are higher. The following are those side effects which risk higher. When first taking codeine, after a dosage increase, if you are older, if you have an existing problem, an existing lung problem or existing respiratory problem. The side effects of codeine are similar to those of other opioids, and these are constipation, nausea and stomach cramps, dizziness, mood changes, drowsiness, feeling faint, inability to sleep. Side effects that you should report your care team as soon as possible, which are more dangerous. For example, allergic reactions, skin rash, itching, hives, swelling of face, lips, tongue, and throat, central nervous system depression, slow or shallow breathing, shortness of breath, feeling faint, dizziness, confusion, trouble staying awake, low adrenal gland functions, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, unusual weakness or fatigue, dizziness, and the other one is low blood pressure, lightheaded, blurry vision, that there is difficulty in seeing things. Side effects that usually do not require medical attention, that basically they are light effects, they are not considered. For example, constipation, dizziness, dry mouth, headache, nausea, vomiting, and drowsiness. Now, coming to the advances and the synthesis of codeine. Morphine, an alkaloid isolated from the opium poppy, has been widely used as an analgesic and has been a fascinating synthetic target of organic chemists. After first total synthesis reported in 1952, a number of synthetic studies toward morphine have been reported, and findings obtained in such studies have greatly contributed to the progress of synthetic organic chemistry as well as medicinal chemistry. This review provides an overview of recent studies toward the total synthesis of morphine and related alkaloids. Work reported in literature since 2004 will be reviewed. Now, a new synthetic strategy for the synthesis of the opiate and merolydic alkaloids emerges, employing a PD catalyzed asystematic allylic alkylation to set the stereochemistry. The pivotal tricyclic intermediate is available in 6 steps from 2-bromovanillin and the monoester of methyl 6-hydroxycyclohexene 1-carboxylate. The later available from glutaradilate and the Emmons-Wadsworth-Horner phosphate reagent. This intermediate requires only 2 steps to convert glantamine. Using a Heck vanillation, we found that the fourth ring of codeine morphine is formed. The final ring formation involves a novel, visible light-prompted hydroamination. Thus, 6 steps are required to convert the pivotal tricyclic intermediate into codeine, which has been demethylated in high yield to morphine. Now coming to the regulation and controversies. There are basic 3 points in the regulation and controversies of codeine. Legal status of codeine in different countries, codeine abuse and addiction, controversies surround over-the-counter availability and restriction. Legal status of codeine. Codeine is widely used analgesic that is available for sale in pharmacies over the counter in number of countries including UK, South Africa, Ireland, France and Australia. In these countries with OTC codeine sales, there has been emerging concerns about misuse of and dependence on codeine containing combination analgesics, with increasing number of people presenting for help with codeine dependence at primary care and addiction treatment services. This has led to many countries reviewing availability of codeine in OTC available preparations and considering possible measures to reduce harms from misuse of OTC codeine containing combination analgesics. Codeine abuse and addiction. Codeine use often starts out innocently with a prescription for a codeine-based cough syrup because codeine is less regulated than some opiates considered to be dangerous, such as morphine and oxycontin. Getting and abusing it is relatively easy. This is despite the fact that codeine is very similar chemically to drugs such as morphine and hydrocodone. Though less potent, codeine provides effects similar to morphine. The effects of codeine includes euphoria, apathy, drowsiness, relaxation. As an opiate, codeine runs a high risk of its users developing a tolerance and eventually a dependence on it. Although many people begin using codeine to relieve a legitimate condition, it is frequently abused as tolerance depends. Many codeine users begin to turn to the drug to cope with all of their physical pain and eventually their emotional pain as well. Now coming to the risk of codeine. Although some people think the drug seems harmless, at high enough doses codeine use can lead to respiratory failure, coma and even death. This risk is especially high when codeine is combined with other central nervous systems, depressants such as alcohol and other opioids. Addiction to codeine. An addiction to codeine may develop from continued abuse of the drug in its cough medicine or pill forms. Codeine can lull its users into a false sense of security, as many people do not consider it to be as powerful as addictive as its opiate family members. Many people don't stop at codeine. They try to reach a better high by mixing it with other substances, including alcohol. Because codeine and alcohol are both CNS depressants, combining them can lead to dangerous levels of depression in the brain and respiratory failure. Codeine and other drugs. For some people, codeine is only a piece of a larger web of addictions. Sometimes it is the gateway drug into addiction to other substances, especially other opiates like oxycodone or morphine. Because multiple drugs in a user's system can change the way treatment is administered, it is important to be honest in discussing all of your addictions with a treatment counselor. No matter what drug you use, whether there is a treatment solution available. Overcoming your codeine addiction. Despite the ease with which codeine can be obtained and the drug's glamorization in popular culture, it is still a dangerous and potentially deadly drug that can cause lives to spiral out of control. If you are in need of rehabilitative help, contact our treatment provider today to discuss available options. Over the counter. Research shows that current over the counter low dose codeine containing medicines for pain relief offer very little additional benefit but high health risks. When compared to similar medicines without codeine, codeine can cause opioid tolerance, dependence, addiction, poisoning, and in high doses, even death. Future of codeine. The past several years have seen a number of advances in the research on pain and opioid use disorder. This chapter provides a brief overview of some of these key developments with a focus on those that have taken place since the publication of the 2011 Institute of Medicine reporting relieving pain in America. It is also identifies areas for future research to inform efforts by the US Food and Drug Administration and other organizations to address the opioid epidemic. The chapter reviews developments and research need in basic pain research, the neurobiology of the reward pathway, and the intersection of pain and OUD, periclinical and translational research, including the development of new analgesics, clinical pain research, including optimizing opioid analgesic in the context of comprehensive pain management, and opioid risks. The role of interventional pain therapies and the potential of precision healthcare and research at the intersection of pain and OUD. The chapter concludes with a summary that includes the committee's recommendation for this portion of its charge. The evidence presented in this chapter strongly urges for research to elucidate the biology of pain, to discover novel non-addictive analgesics, and to refine sustainability, the ability to deliver analgesia at the level of the individual patient, that is precision analgesia. These are some important parts to be noted. It is important to note that codeine and other opioids can be dangerous and should be used under the guidance of a medical professional. This presentation is intended for educational purpose only and should be taken as medical advice. Codeine and heroin are both opioids, but they differ in their chemical structure and pharmacological effects. Chemistry of opioid receptor. Mu delta and kappa opioid receptors are G protein coupled receptors that modulate the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine. The binding of opioids to these receptors can active or inhibit various signaling pathways in the brain and the body. Treatment of opioid use disorder. Various pharmacological and behavioral interventions are available for the treatment of opioid addiction, including methadone, buprenorphine, naloxone, and cognitive behavioral therapy. Conclusion of codeine. Opioid abuse is a major public health problem that requires a multidisciplinary approach involving clinicians, researchers, policymakers, and community to prevent and treat opioid related harms. Future research could focus on developing safer and more effective treatments on pain and addiction, as well as addressing the social determinants of opioid use and promoting harm reduction strategies. There are few references for codeines. There is two books for the help about the topic and some of the links. Thank you for listening. This is all about the presentation on codeine.